The next 5 years and 10 years of business success are going to be categorized by people who can leverage AI, automation, and outsourcing. What's a position that I should look at outsourcing to try to generate more top-line revenue for my company?
They think it's a different process, or, oh, I don't need to put as much effort in. I'm getting this individual. It's kind of low cost. Regardless of the cost or not, you're still hiring another human being. People hate spam messages and people that are just looking for calls and looking for sales and so forth. It's about putting value first.
What's the biggest mistake business owners make when they hire VA? All right, so I met this guest, Mr. Brad Stevens, at an entrepreneur organization event. We were talking a little bit about outsourcing, how to make more money with outsourcing, how to find people across seas that are hungry and willing to make you some damn money. And you kind of blew my socks off. That's why typically I wear flip-flops. But I said, Brad, I got to get you on the show. You're already making me money. I want you to help other people make money. So Brad, what's up? Thanks for being here.
Absolutely, man. And props to you as well for your presentation you gave at that EO conference, man. I mean, this whole AI and automation world, people are mystified by it. And, I love it. Kind of my approach as well is to give specific live case study examples. And you gave some great just case by case, step by step that everybody took a lot away from. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. I feel like the next 5 years and 10 years of business success are going to be categorized by people who can leverage AI, automation, and outsourcing. That is the advantage right now. You can't do all automation. You can't do all AI. You can't do only people. You got to merge them together. But Brad, I was at a men's group meeting this morning at church. About 35 local business leaders were there. One of the people in there said, "Hey, how many of you are outsourcing in the Philippines?" Yeah. He and me. So only two of us raised our hands. I'm looking at 35 other schlubs there who aren't outsourcing. I was like, Brad, why the hell are people not outsourcing right now? What are these people thinking? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, it's the same mindset and some of the, what I call DFCs, doubt, fears, and concerns that I had when I kind of went down this journey. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And before I launched this company, my last business had a fiasco happen, had to learn how to get cash tight. And that's when I learned about this whole world. And I went into it with the same kind of doubt, fears, concerns. And I kind of, as a small business owner, I was like, this outsourcing thing is just for big companies to do call centers. It's not for me, and it's in a different country. And what about time zones? And what about competency? And what are they capable of doing? And, all this like concern about it. And it wasn't until I really started, finding and working with these individuals, and particularly the Philippines. A lot of people kind of group all of Southeast Asia together, but the Philippines is very unique, and the U.S. controlled it up until like 1947. So it's Americanized culture, English speaking, American education system. And so you don't have that culture gap at all. And, nor accent if you're doing kind of phone work a lot of times. And they're graduating, 800,000 4-year college degree individuals, per year that are hungry. They're fast to learn. And so, it was the same concerns I had. And then I started working with these individuals and realized their competency, their ability, their work ethic. I mean, my very first VA I worked with was able to grow to be our COO over 500 employees in 4.5 years, right? A young woman at 23, 24 was able to raise her lid and kind of grow. And we started seeing that with a lot of others. But yeah, it's a lot of people that the doubts are, what are their capabilities? Are they competent enough? And for some reason, we think that people in these other countries, I mean, it's unbelievable, the competency and ability of these individuals, of what they're doing. It's not low level stuff. It's pretty sophisticated, capabilities of what they have. When it comes to time zones, people freak out about that. But anybody that's using like tools like Loom and screencasting, all the asynchronous communication that you can use. I mean, honestly, my personal VA, we haven't had a live conversation in probably 2 years. We just use asynchronous communication. And a lot of times they'll work like hybrid time zones, right? So they'll work like their evening, my morning. So if we need to do a live chat back and forth on something, but it's kind of great, Mark, because it's like 24 hours. It's like while I'm sleeping, they're getting work done. It's this beautiful thing when I wake up and my inbox is full of like completed functions and tasks, right? So, a lot of people actually kind of like that process. When it comes to security, at the end of the day, there's all these amazing VPN platforms that people can work from, whether it's, AWS with Amazon or VMware. But also a lot of times what they're doing isn't, super sensitive information. It's just you're sharing Google Docs and, working with CRMs. But there's tools you can use like Dashlane and LastPass that allow you to share access to things that are actually giving usernames and passwords as well. So you just got to be smart about it, but it's not as big of an issue people kind of think about.
Yeah, Brad, I got to say, like in the United States, inflation is soaring. People are fighting for a 3-day, 4-day work week. it's going to get crazy over here. But I got to be honest, I got people over in the Philippines that are hungry. I was talking to one of my team members the other day, and I said, hey, do I'm not paying you as much as I would pay someone in the States. It's a different situation here. How happy are you working for me? What do you like working? Is this a good situation? She's like, Mark, I used to drive 2.5 hours to work both ways. I love it. This is great. I'm referring my friends. It's freaking awesome. So listen, if you could put food on the table of someone who's great in the Philippines, do it. But before we put food in their belly, we need to put food in our belly, right? We need to make some money. So Brad, let's talk about how to actually use these tools, leverage this offshore staff to make more money. What's a position that I should look at outsourcing to try to generate more top line revenue for my company?
Sure. And yeah, I could agree more with what you shared before. When actually my first trip to the Philippines, I sat down and interviewed some people, and exactly, 3-hour trips back and forth, and what it does for their livelihood and what they get access to. It's absolutely game changing. We actually have a whole magazine we produce showcasing our employees and their stories, specifically for that reason. That helps us attract talent to show, the difference that it can make. When it comes to sales, and a lot of people think of outsourcing as a way of a cost cutting measure, right? And there definitely is the kind of the lower cost solution aspect to it, but there's a lot of opportunities to drive top line, right? A lot of people think, oh, it's a way to cut, doing bookkeeping and operational activities and customer service and that kind of thing. But when it comes to sales is a bit more complicated than it's ever been, right? Especially the tools and the technology and everything we've got to use, CRMs and LinkedIn and email and all the different things. And a lot of times, just the time and energy that it takes to do all of that, you're not on the phone closing deals, which you should be doing, right? And so a lot of things that we see, and we actually have a whole category on our website, we call it sales acceleration. And we found this in terms of working, we work in about 75 different industries, clients in a bunch of different capacities and in all different functions within businesses, marketing, operations, customer service, sales. And we kept finding this group of activities that we were doing where it was helping to accelerate the sales activities of the sales reps, right? So at the end of the day, sales reps, they want to be on the phone closing deals, and that's the highest and best use of their time. When it comes to CRM administration or chasing down RFPs or doing follow-ups or connecting with people on LinkedIn or messaging, all the additional additives that are critical, isn't the best use of their time. Let them be on the next phone call, closing the next deal. So, one category when it comes, depending on if you're an individual, you're the CEO, the business owner, and you're the one doing all the sales, or if you have a sales team, it's being able to extract out those activities that aren't the highest and best use of your time. And then secondly, the things that you want to be doing that you're not getting to, that they can kind of take on. And so it's kind of like this 1 + 1 = 5, that you take a solid sales individual and you pair them with an affordable offshore staff. And again, depending on where you go, whether you hire direct, go through firms, you're talking about $10,000 to $20,000 a year. You can get a full-time employee working for you, right? That's very competent, very sharp, and they can run side by side. So in our own company, right? So our sales reps for Outsource Access, our sales rep, we have a guy here in the US that we work with, but he's got a guy that's a sales rep, Chris, that's on every single call with him so that Dan can just focus on the client, asking good questions, good strategic engagement. And Chris is sitting there taking all the notes, taking all the follow-up activities. And as soon as that call's done, he's logging in under LinkedIn, under Dan's account, connecting to that prospect. Hey, it was great connecting today. Goes into the CRM and does the disposition, updates all the notes, and does the follow-up process. And then Dan's on the next call, right? And so his brain isn't cluttered with all the administrative stuff. He's in the right headspace, and he's able to focus on that next, that sales call. So that's a big part of it, is taking all those activities from those sales functions, whether it's you or your staff, and then getting that distributed so that it's just everybody's highest and best use of time.
I love the idea actually of leveraging that assistant for that contact, that follow-up, that stuff that's very tedious that can take up the time, particularly on LinkedIn. But I am curious, how do we actually get that team member to share our voice? Because, I feel like we would want that team member, that outsourced assistant, to be sharing our values, sharing our conversations. We want to make sure that they feel like they're part of the organization, not just some rando that we hired overseas. How do we look at integrating them into our workflow, with our culture, with our team, core values, messages? How do we do that?
Yeah, and it's part of how you establish the relationship from the beginning, right? It starts with how you hire and who you're looking for when you hire someone. Whether you hire someone local in the United States or you're hiring overseas, a lot of the same characteristics apply. When we go through the process with clients, we do IQ testing, emotional intelligence testing, we do Colby testing, predictive index, any tools and things that you use locally. we put staff through because you want to make the right, selection to make sure that there's the right alignment with that individual. It's going to be a good fit. They got the competency, they have the ability, they have the skill sets. We have them do test projects to kind of see if they're going to be the right fit. And once that's established, we know that we've vetted for the right individual. But then when we go to work with clients, is we want them to know their mission, their core values, right? I mean, that's why, we're all in when we work with clients. We only do full time because we want them all in, knowing who their business is, what they're about, so they can be a part of their mission and core values. So that's the first step, is just vet appropriately so you're getting the right individual. Because I think a lot of times when people hire overseas, they think it's a different process, or, I don't need to put as much effort in. I'm getting this individual. It's kind of low cost. Regardless of the cost or not, you're still hiring another human being, and it's a matter that they're going to be working side by side. Make sure it's the right fit. And then once they start working with you, bring them into your business and invite them in to understand. And a lot of times in these countries, they're kind of submissive sometimes and they're hesitant. So you got to invite them in and bring them in and say, hey, Mark, you're going to be working with us. I know you're in the Philippines, but I want you to know our mission, our core values, what we're about kind of as a company. So it really starts with that initial kind of foundation. Then when it comes to actual work that they're doing, when it talks about posting, content on LinkedIn and so forth, we typically start with, depending on what the campaign is, right? So we've got a campaign that we do a lot of work in commercial real estate, for example. We're in 75 different industries, but that's one of them. And so wanted to do an outreach to a lot of commercial real estate agents that had the designation of SIOR, which is the top 5% of commercial real estate agents. So I'll have them connect on LinkedIn through my account and do outreach. And I'll initially just give them a preset message, right? Because they're doing it as me and they're reaching out. Right. And as we know, like when you're doing LinkedIn, people hate spam messages and people that are just looking for calls and looking for sales and so forth. It's about putting value first. It's inviting them to an educational webinar. It's about inviting them to an educational piece of content. It's about adding value to them before you make an ask. So initially, when we start with someone, it's sort of initially, hey, here's copy and paste stuff that I want you to do at scale. And then once they kind of get to learn the voice and I'll kind of teach, then they'll pick it up much quicker than you realize. And then you kind of start building a relationship of like, hey, I had to change this a little bit, change that a little bit. And they end up creating kind of a little bit of a database of their own set of responses that they can go back and, in reference to as they're kind of going forward. Sometimes I'll have them identify themselves as my VA working on my behalf, right? At the end of the day, it's me showing that I practice what I preach, that, hey, I'm Brad's VA, responding on his behalf, just wanted to make sure that you got the information that you needed. Because I have a lot of people that reach out to me on LinkedIn, direct message that, hey, I saw XYZ, about what you guys do. I saw your webinar post, social media post. I'd like to learn more about VAs. And so Dawn, who's my VA that does responses there, she'll say, hey, Brad's busy right now, but I'm Dawn, his VA, and his LinkedIn account. Here's the link for you to book a call with our sales team. Love to follow through with you, right? And they respect that, right? Well, it's like the guy practices what he preaches. He has a VA kind of helping manage those responses.
I'm curious, what's your goal with the messaging strategy? Is your goal to get, like, within this social media platform, to book a call on your calendar? Is it to get them into your CRM? Are you giving lead magnets and interesting special offers to the people? What typically is your goal with those outreaches?
Well, it depends on the campaign, but a lot of it, like I was sharing, is really, it's never about a direct ask to book a call to have a sales appointment, right? Which blows my mind how many companies still do that. It's ultimately about getting them to our website, usually to a piece of content that's there, or to register for, like right now, we're doing a big webinar next Wednesday for the home healthcare space, right? Because that's actually another big industry that we're in. And so we have a whole list of people that are in the home healthcare space. And so have outreach happening via my LinkedIn that's just inviting them to that webinar. Said, hey, saw your home healthcare. You may be wondering about this whole outsourcing world and home healthcare. 30-minute webinar happening next Wednesday. Click here. You can register for it. If it's not that, it's driving them to a blog or a piece of content on our website for them to consume content. But then after they're on our website for about 20, 30 seconds, there is an opt-in lead magnet, the top 7 tasks you can immediately outsource to a VA, right? So ultimately, it's about getting them into our ecosystem, whether they opt in at that point or not. Ideally, it's getting them into our email nurture. And then even our email nurtures are adding value. We had this, it's probably one of the best things I've done in terms of nurture. It's called our addictive tool series, right? Because everybody loves to learn about a cool tool, right? A cool little tech tool, whether it's a chat GPT or something of that nature. So when someone opt in, we have 3 or 4 initial emails that ultimately it's sharing case studies and examples specific to their industry. Because that's the biggest thing is people appreciate, don't give me blanket universal stuff. If I'm in home healthcare, give me content about how VAs are helping home healthcare businesses, not a generic thing. So we try to give them specific content. If they engage and book a call with us, great. If they don't, then what we do is our long-term nurture is this addictive tool series where once a week, we just send a cool tech tool, not a big long newsletter, not 900 calls to action. Just say, hey, Mark, here's a cool tool that we found that, automatically does screen captures. Thought you may find it interesting, right? And then we have a 98% retention rate on that. And we have 200 of these in our marketing automation system. So when someone starts on it, they start at the beginning. I have 2 years worth of cool little tech tools that go to them once a week. And what it's doing is it's earning the right to stay in their inbox with something of value. And I can't tell you, I run into people that are part of like, Brad, I love your tools. There's only like 1 out of 3 or 4 that ultimately end up engaging, but I get them and I forward them to my team. Those are cool little tools that I never knew existed. So I'm there adding value, but it's earning the right for Brad Stevens, the name, and Outsource Access to stay in their inbox. So when I do want to do a blast out with a promotion or an offer or a big webinar, I've earned the right to be in their inbox so I can get good conversion on that.
I love that. And you've set up that sequence on the front end, and that, hey, when someone goes into sequence A, there's a 98% chance of staying in there because that's the formula, that's the data. And then they're going to be getting email for 2 years. So I'm big time starting to get into email sequencing. I'm probably going to steal that from you, Brad. That's part of the reason why I do this. I learned the best tricks from the killers out here.
I've told everybody in different industries, have your own version of an addictive tool series that's specific to your industry. Because it's amazing the retention. Now at the bottom, every one of those, right? Now we're not, the main of it is just, hey, here's a cool tool. It has a quick blurb on it, but then it has a link to go to our website because then we write a blog on that tool too. So we try to put it in the body of the email to give them value if they just want to look in their email, but they want it more depth. They can click and go to a blog on our website to read more depth about that tool. But at the very bottom, it says, hey, if you're ever interested in a VA, click here to engage. But it's at the very bottom, so it doesn't hit them over the head like I'm trying to sell them, right? It's about add value first. So we always got that little message at the bottom. And Mark, I've got people that saw me speak at an event 3 years ago, haven't seen or heard it from them at all, had no idea that they were still on this sequence. And all of a sudden, 2 years later, they end up buying and engaging with us because we stayed on the nurture wheel. We earned the right to stay on their nurture wheel because at some point on the other wheel, the life and business event, and there will be an intersection, and they'll say, hey, I actually just bought a new business and you've been staying top of mind and I'm ready to move forward now, right? So that's why the 2 years, right? You just stay on the long tail. Because a lot of people, they give up. They send those short term, they blast them with newsletters, and then they give up. It's about giving a long burn, short bite-sized, long-term value.
That's the pro tip. I'm taking that to the bank. I also got to ask, did you write and set up all those emails and all those automations, or did you have a VA set all that up? Did you have someone outsourced set that up?
Funny you should ask, Mark. Yes, I stayed up all night for 3 months straight and personally wrote every one. It was painstaking.
Did you really?
I would be awful at what I do if I did that.
I was going to say, I would be shocked if you did that.
No, but it's back to like as business owners and CEOs, like we're the visionaries of ideas. So this is an idea that I had, right? And that's the beauty of having incredible, talented offshore staff is that I can bring an idea to life quickly and cost effectively. And so no, we set up what I call like a little micro protocol of like, well, first of all, where are we going to find these tools? So there's a great online tool, website called Product Hunt. You may be familiar with. So Product Hunt is an amazing website that just has all these cool little tech tools that they write reviews on. And so I said, I have my VA. And so we created a template for what does this little email need to look like? What does the content need to look like? And then we just have a VA. And then I got a good content writer who's one of my staff. So I have a 10-person marketing team in the Philippines. And again, one of those doubt fears is, are they competent? Can they write English? Amazing writers. We got to vet for the right ones. But they go to Product Hunt, they find the tool, they write the little mini blurb, they write the email copy, they go into our automation platform, HubSpot now, which we're using. They'll build it out, do all the images, the links, go to the website, write the blog, get the blog posted, link it all together, set the timer up. And we're still, I got 2 years now, but we're still doing them every single week. So we keep building that longer and longer. So we'll have 3 or 4 years worth before it's over with. But it's about just having this long tail nurture in there that's adding value, throughout the entire course of time.
Amazing. And we were talking about this a little bit before I hit record, but as your business grows, you have to start solving different problems. What got you to 6 figures ain't going to get you to 7, 8, et cetera. And it's shocking to me how many people get stuck in doing the day-to-day stuff. Like, I think you need to do some of it, but you need to be able to scale it up. You need to have people on your team. You need to use AI to help out. A friend of mine actually just posted on Facebook. Maybe he'll see this or not. I don't know, buddy. If you see this, I'm thinking about you. A friend of mine posted this on Facebook. He posted, for every 100 emails that you send out, you'll probably only get one reply. Be gritty. And I'm thinking to myself, like hell, I'm going to be gritty. I'm going to solve the problem. I'm going to automate that. I'm going to freaking automate. Like, there's no way I'm going to sit out there and copy and paste 100 emails. Hell no. I'm going to automate them to put it into a sequence. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. What are you doing?
Well, the great thing about where we are in time and history right now, I mean, the technology and thing we have access to, but the downside is it is profoundly overwhelming, right? There's more levers and knobs you can play with in the digital ecosystem. I mean, Marcom that does that one like infographic every year, and they put all the like MarTech tools like on one, and it's like up to 6,000 tools that are out there. And so, if you're a small business owner and you're trying to like do email marketing or choose a CRM, I mean, you could spend 2 months just vetting everything from HubSpot to Pipedrive to Keep to Infusionsoft to Go High Level to everything. And then even once you choose these great automation tools, we only use a fraction of what they're capable of because we don't have the time to do it. And again, that's, we see with a lot of our clients, that's the thing that they love, like in the service industry, right? Landscaping companies and tree repair business or tree removal businesses and these like home services, roofing companies. So Service Pro is or Service Titan is like one of the big software platforms that all these companies use that it does all this amazing stuff. It lets you post Google reviews for your clients after you did a great job landscaping. It does all this automation and everything, but they don't ever use much of what it's capable of because their employees don't have time to do it. And that's one of the first things we've actually built a whole team that's learned those entire platforms. So we go in and help them use all that stuff. So their VA is actually going in and using the tool that like goes and asks, customers to go post on social media and actually kind of leverage it appropriately. So it's a blend of, even with all the AI and automation that's coming, there's still an interesting blend. That's why we've trained, we have a whole training we put our VAs through on ChatGPT so they can understand it, know how to do some prompt engineering. So for a client that we're working with, they're looking to expand into St. Louis. Well, let's go find the competitors. Well, go do a prompt in ChatGPT to kind of crank it out to kind of see what a list of competitors are in St. Louis for concrete manufacturing. So it's kind of blending those two together.
Well, I got to say, I love that. And by the way, you can get all this stuff at tools@outsourceaccess.com. Tools@outsourceaccess.com. Shoot them an email, man. What are you doing? Just shoot them an email.
Yeah, just shoot an email. Just put after hours in the subject line, and we'll get it. As you can imagine, I have a VA. We'll send you a great list of all kinds of tools, templates, recorded webinars with case studies and examples. Our top 200 tools from our addictive tool series. We've got that we'll send out. So have a good goodie list for everybody. Or if they just visit outsourceaccess.com, they can see all kinds of stuff on there as well.
Super sick. Links below. One more question for you, Brad, before you go, because I know you got a busy schedule here. What is the biggest mistake that you see people make when they hire a VA? What's the biggest mistake business owners make when they hire VA?
They don't put the time and effort to kind of figure out what they're going to have them do and work and communicate together. I mean, a lot of your, we work best a lot of times. We work with a lot of business owners. We also work with a lot of their staff as well. But a lot of times you get these crazy, ADD visionary CEOs and business owners, and I'm one of them as part of it. But they want to, they love the idea of working with this VA or offshore staff to work with them, but they want them to just like read their brain or like just understand and assume what they need. And they don't put the time and effort to, communicate with them, unpack the things and the needs that they have, figure out how to kind of get their hands on the wheel. Even with a super smart individual, right? If you bring them into your tornado, it's going to be nothing but a tornado. And so, in a lot of the webinars and things that I do, we have this like 2-question exercise, and I'll send everybody. You send an email to that email address. It's just a simple 2-question exercise that we ask people to do, and it's real simple. We have a Google template they can complete, which is take time to really audit what are the things that you're doing that aren't best of use of your time, and how many hours per month are you spending on that. Right? Sounds very, very simple, but people, I can tell you've done this with thousands of people, and they do that exercise. And it's like, I really only thought it was this, but I really started putting a pencil to it. And I spend 9 hours a month doing follow-ups on RFPs, 9 hours a month on follow-ups on RFPs, right? So it's that first bucket. What are you doing that isn't the best use of your time, and how many hours, and take the time, how many hours per month you're doing on it. And when we have companies do this and staff do it, like it's amazing the stuff that comes out. And then the second question is, what are the things on the radar that you want to be doing that you're not doing due to time, money, are knowledge constraints, right? So I've been meaning to do more in LinkedIn. I've been meaning to write content. I've been meaning to get videos done. I've been meaning to get my YouTube channel up. I've been meaning to get my QuickBooks done. What are all the things you're not getting to typically due to time, money, and knowledge constraints? And make a list of those. And I tell you, if people make a list of those two things, what do I want to get off my plate I'm currently doing, and what am I not getting to? And it just creates an unbelievable punch list. And actually, so when people work with us, we kind of have them do a version of that exercise. And every time they're just amazed of like when they actually sit down and think through it. And you can't do all that at once with an outsourced person, right? But you find the low-hanging fruit, figure out the best way to start. And then once you get confidence in the process, then they start biting off more and more from that afterwards.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I cannot preach this enough. The time that you will win back, just like you win back the time with the automations, the emails, you win back the time when you hire a human being to help you and do it, and probably do it better than you can. Yeah. I don't know what else to say other than your wallet's going to be happy with you, and your wife will absolutely be happier, or whatever, your husband, your wife, your dog, your kids, they're going to be happier because they're going to get more of you because you just scaled your time. Brad, thanks so much for joining the After Hours Entrepreneur today, people.
Loved it, man. Great jamming on it, and look forward to maybe hearing from some of the audience members. Happy to help and add more value. Get some addictive tools their way.
Yep. Tools at outsourceaccess.com. Subject line, After Hours. Thank you, Brad.